Hey, I want to talk today about content systems, but I want to talk about one very specific, interesting use case of content systems, which is catching embarrassing spelling mistakes on your blog before your CEO does. Websites are actually surprisingly difficult to spell check, grammar check, do all kinds of other things too. But with LLMs and with workflows and with some creative sort of putting things together, you can have some pretty interesting tests that run on your website. And you can run them whenever you want, kind of catch mistakes, let you know about things before they become a problem or after a major launch or other things like that. Much more of a continuous monitoring sort of situation. So today, what I'm going to talk about is a little bit about content systems in general. By the way, I have a note here to tell a story about spelling mistakes, and I'm happy to do that. But I think we've all had the experience of, a CEO, especially at a smaller company, or a head of marketing, or somebody in sales, getting a Slack from that person who says, "Oh, you put the wrong word here, or you referred to a feature that we don't have, or there's just a simple spelling mistake here, or there's a number that should be 10x what it is, or whatever." I think we all have stories of that, and I certainly have been on the receiving end of that. And so have you, if you're watching this. But what I want to talk about today is, yes, there's that story, and how do we solve this? And how does a content system, how does thinking about your content as a system help you avoid these things in the future? So I'm going to take 30 more seconds and talk about content systems in general, because this is a really important thing to keep in mind. And then I'm going to show you the actual workflow and the mechanics of doing the thing that I just talked about. So we are moving toward a time and a place where we can treat content more like data. We can parse it, we can move it around, we can use computers to help us understand and maintain it. And our thought at ércule is that you should always be thinking about your content in terms of systems. A system is a group of routines, artifacts, things, processes, code that lets us take a bunch of inputs, which in our case are our POV, our ideas, our product, our brand, all that stuff, put it through a set of systems with lots of human oversight and interaction, and reliably or somewhat reliably get some kind of output, whether that is clicks or views or pipeline or trust or whatever it is, something measurable. That's how we think about content. And we apply content systems at ércule to problems like SEO and GEO and people converting on the site, and what should we create, and is it up to date, and all that other stuff. There's lots and lots of things you can do. And if you think about your content as a system, as a group of things that are participating in the set of workflows that you're putting together, then you can produce more, higher velocity, better effects, all that stuff. So I just want to introduce you to that concept of a content system, and I'll show you some specific aspects of this. All right, let's talk about misspellings, because that's what you're probably here for. So what I'm going to show you is a tool called N8N, which we've used on this live stream before. There are lots of great tools for automating this stuff, but N8N essentially lets you build AI workflows. I'm going to show you how we would do this to actually go through a blog and find, not one blog, but an entire blog, and find mistakes. So let me share my screen, and we will present, and we will share screen, and I will share the correct window, and there we go. And you should be able to see that momentarily here on the stage. And that makes the captions teeny tiny. And also, my God, I chose this really cool Mario Paint background, but this is probably incredibly confusing. So I'm actually going to turn this one off if I can figure out how to do that. Actually, that's not so bad. That's all right. Let's pick a different one. We'll do Guns N' Roses. Okay, great. That makes this a little bit cleaner. Okay, so here is N8N, and N8N lets you put things together into steps. And so if you've used HubSpot, you'll know what this looks like. Execute a workflow, get article rows from a sheet, and then you can do things like, here's my little box to scrape each page and to get the text out and to send each one to OpenAI, to ChatGPT, where I've defined a bunch of tests, to run those tests and then go back to my spreadsheet. So just take a second to Like, understand that this is a workflow. This is going to be a big part of this particular process, this particular routine within our content system. And here's what it looks like. So all the bits and pieces here all fit together and have little arrows and do cool stuff. And it's really fun to run these and kind of watch little arrows change and things spinning around and sometimes failing or whatever. But this is kind of the heart of it. And where we start is with this. And I'm going to pick on, I know you can't see my screen yet. I'm picking on Clay a little bit. They're great. They're wonderful. I see them all the time. Amazing company and product that we also help a lot of our clients use effectively. I'm going to pick on them a little bit just because everybody knows who they are, and we'll run this on their blog. So I'm going to share this tab instead. And you can see I've got a spreadsheet here. Just ignore these two for now. I've got a spreadsheet here, and the spreadsheet just has a list of blog articles. This is a bunch of stuff from their blog and other places in the site. And these are what get picked up by this step here. When I tell this workflow, hey, go out to this spreadsheet and grab these URLs, that list of URLs is the list that it's grabbing. So what we can do with this little piece of our content system is run this anytime we want, run it on however many blogs we have or pages on the site or whatever. I've done 20 or 30 here, but we've done it for thousands of pages for certain clients, and run a test for each one. And because we're in this new era of LLMs, we can define all kinds of crazy tests. The test doesn't have to be, if you've ever had a technical audit done, is there a broken image? Is there a 404 link? It doesn't have to be that, although that can be part of it too. It can also be part of our content system. It can be things like, are there any misspellings in this article? Start your answer with yes or no, and then we provide the article. And this sends it right over to OpenAI, to ChatGPT, and kind of gets that information back for us for every single list, every single link in that list. Think a little bit bigger about this. If we have the ability to run a test on every page in the site, and the tool is smart enough to understand on some level what's going on in the article, and we also have this very powerful workflow engine that we can use, whether it's N8N or Gumloop or AirOps or something else. What else can we test? Oh, well, we can test, does this fit our brand guidelines? We can test, does this answer all the questions that people have? We can test, does this include our latest pricing that we just published yesterday? We can test, does this match our new messaging? We can test, are there, is this duplicative of some other thing we have on the blog? We can do all kinds of stuff because we're going to treat the things on the blog as part of a system, and we're going to use these tools to think about the role of each part of this, each artifact, each asset that we have, how that functions in the broader system and gets us to our goals and how they're produced, et cetera, et cetera. So that's the cool thing about this. And I've already pre-run this workflow. So it only took about 3 minutes to run, but I ran it in advance. And here's the output. Let me switch over to this tab 1 second. I've got some other stuff going on here, which I will hide so I can show you the misspellings one. Now, some of these are yes, and they probably don't need to be. They're probably stuff like, oh, this word got used in a way that wasn't expected or something like that. That's fine. And we can tweak the test. We can say whatever we want in the test, and we can try to refine it, make it more useful. But there's some that actually are useful in here, like this one, which I highlighted. Misspellings identified. Over-relying should be over-relying or over-relying. And look at the complexity and sort of sophistication is too strong a word, but look at that response, which is like, yeah, I went through the article. And like, let's go here and see if this was hallucinated or not. I'm going to open this in a new tab. Whoops. Let's do that. Let's share this tab instead. Okay, here it is. And we said that the error here is over-relying. And so now I'm going to, I misspelled it again. Over-relying, there it is. Just a small thing. Probably nobody's ever noticed. Producing content is hard. But great, like let's have a machine do this. Let's have it check things after we publish them, or do any of the other use cases you can do with this capability as part of your content system. There's another one that it found, which is this post. And again, not to pick on the content team at Clay, like they're just absolutely killing it. But let's Control F here, and we're going to find scaping instead of scraping Twitter. And that's it. Like, so that is what this system can do for us, is go in and like real time look at all the stuff and understand how this all works. So I wanted to show you. Oh, that's good. Hi. I wanted to show you what this looks like. This is a somewhat trivial use case. If you're a developer or you know developers, you might be familiar with the concept of linting. That is kind of what this is. It's linting. It's kind of going through and pulling out all the lint from your close lint roller, like errors and things like that. So developers use this sort of thing for code when they deploy it. They have tests that run in this whole separate thing, which many of our clients build their businesses on, and we work with them and talk with them about it. And I'm happy to talk to you about linting of all different kinds. But this extends that ability, that programmatic ability, to folks who are not in that space. And if you have something like this as part of your content system, if you start thinking about things in terms of content systems, you can build really powerful capabilities that reduce your stress and make sure that you don't get a Slack from your CEO saying that you misspelled some really important word somewhere on the blog, and somebody noticed and you need to fix it right away, even though it's Labor Day or whatever. So cool. That's it. Thanks for watching whenever you watch this, and hope you all have a great rest of the day, I guess. I don't know. I need some kind of outro here, but yeah, thanks for letting me show this to you. Catch you later. Bye.